exactly 1 year ago to the minute, we had this meter installed. So far, we've used 12,033, regenerated 12,482, and that's a net total. We've made power over the year. What is that? 448 kilowatts additional. And you can see how these little bars are going backwards. It's a cloudy day out, and we're still making more power than we're using. It's traditional to have a 1,000 subscriber celebratory video, so this is the one I've been intending on making for a while now. I waited until the exact 1 year, within a couple minutes, anniversary of the new meter, the net metering meter being installed in our house. So I wanted to be able to talk about it with a perspective coming back on it for an entire year to see how we did with our power. This is a 20 kilowatt array. It's actually two separate arrays. There's 10 kilowatts powering our house there, and on a separate meter, 10 kilowatts powering my mother-in-law's house right next door. We also own that house. That splits off with these two boxes right here, and one goes to our house and one goes to that house. And that meter that we had put on, overall, I took some pictures, I'll post them in the video. We've made power year over year with a 1 year trial, basically. And that's including having an electric car that we put probably 80 to 90% of our local miles on is on this Leaf, 2013 Leaf. So I'd say we're doing pretty well for ourselves with our power generation. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. What's really unfair, we're down in Georgia, by the way, just south of the Atlanta airport. And Georgia is extraordinarily unfriendly, or was extraordinarily unfriendly to solar net metering customers. When we signed up, we're actually with a company it's a cooperative. It's called Coweta Fayette EMC. And on their net metering plan, when we looked at the paperwork, it said, yes, you can net meter, and it's on a billing cycle. Any energy that you don't use within the billing cycle will be credited, paid out as cash at the end of the month. And we thought, okay, great. We're paying about, I'm rounding up, 13 cents a kilowatt hour, but they only pay you at bulk rate. That was 3 cents a kilowatt hour, and it still is pretty close to that. Anyways, and they said that's because we mirror what Georgia Power does, because that's where they get their supply from. So when they pay us out, that bulk rate, that's the same rate that they are paying for electricity from the coal-fired power plant. So we are supplying clean, green solar power, and year over year have supplied more power to the grid than we have consumed ourselves. Here's the rub on that. Even though in their agreement it says that it's a per billing cycle, their interpretation of billing cycle is a 24-hour period from midnight to midnight. So we have 1 day and 1 day only to use all the power that we generate. Anything that we don't use at midnight gets paid out at that bulk rate. So if it's, I'm going to use it for instance here. If we make 80 kilowatt hours a day on 1 day, because it's a beautiful sunny day, and we use 30 kilowatt hours, then 50 kilowatt hours gets paid out at bulk rate, which is very little. I'm not going to even try to do public math, but then the next day, let's say we only use 50 kilowatt hours because we have to charge a car, but it's a cloudy day and we don't make anything or next to nothing. Well, we're paying bulk rates at 13 cents a kilowatt hour that very next day, even though the day before we provided solar power to them in that equivalent. So what has happened since April of last year is Georgia Power in June of last year, I believe it was, June or July, went to a program where they would give you 1 month to use all the power that you've created. That to me sounds pretty fair. I wish it was annually, but you know what? If it was a month, I would take it. We are at this moment, though, still being paid out on a daily basis. I've contacted Coweta Fayette EMC, and they haven't got back to me. It's been about 4 days or so since I even learned about the Georgia Power changing the rules last year, and I haven't been on it, obviously. I just was sort of accepting my fate that due to an interpretation and wording, we were getting hosed. But if anything comes back, I'll post an update. But at this moment, I'm not too hopeful, and that's just a shame. I just got to say, I wish it was different. It just seems like they're punishing you to put in solar net metering down here, at least at Coweta Fayette EMC. Georgia Power has got their act together, but I don't know why a cooperative, which is supposed to be member-owned and member-driven, isn't doing the same thing and making good to their customers the same as Georgia Power was when that was their excuse for doing the payout on a daily basis when we signed up for it. Why they're not now adopting that same policy. But I just had to rant a little bit, complain. I'm still waiting to hear back from them. It's been about, like I said, 4 days or something like that. If I hear back, I'll post an update.